I lay on the bed and let the tears run freely. This was all too much. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I just can't seem to wrap my brain around the fact that werewolves are real, or so I'm told. I cried until I had no more tears to cry, then the guilt of how I'd been acting toward Dane set in. I'd been an ungrateful, hateful bitch. That's not who I am. I glanced at the bedside clock and saw it was 4:45 in the morning. Slowly I stood and headed back to the living room, unsure if Dane was still there or not. All the lights were off except one, and I noticed Dane asleep on the couch. He barely fit, and I was honestly surprised to find him still there. I wonder why he didn't go to sleep in one of the other rooms since he had decided to stay. He looked peaceful, and I didn't want to wake him. "I'm awake," I heard him say gruffly, as I tried to tiptoe back to the bedroom. "Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you," I whispered. He sat up, stretching his arms above his head. My eyes scanned down his amazingly toned body as I started fantasizing about being tangled in those arms. Dane cleared his throat, dragging me out of my thoughts. I felt the heat rush to my face as I realized he caught me gawking. A smirk planted on his face. "Did you need something?" He stood, folding the small throw blanket he'd been covering with, and laid it neatly on the end of the couch. "I just wanted to apologize to you. Since you've met me, I've acted like such an ungrateful bitch, and I swear I'm not usually like this." I felt so ashamed of my behavior, I struggled to make eye contact with him. He walked around the couch and pulled me into a hug, and cue the tingles spreading over my body. I wrapped my arms around his waist, returning the embrace, and letting his scent wrap around me like a blanket. I let out a deep breath as my mind and body started to relax. "You don't need to apologize, but thank you for doing it anyway." He leaned down and kissed the top of my head. "I have some things I need to do before breakfast. Will you be okay until then?" I nodded, missing the warmth of his embrace as soon as he pulled away. He didn't bother grabbing his shirt before he walked out the door, locking it behind him. I felt exhaustion taking over as I laid down on the couch Dane had just been sleeping on. His scent still lingered there, and I fell into a much-needed deep sleep. I woke to the smell of bacon cooking. I saw a shirtless Dan sitting at the bar and his mother cooking at the stove as I sat up. No one was talking. Dane just seemed to be watching his mother cook. I rubbed my eyes as I stood up. "Good morning," I greeted both of them. Dane spun around. "More like good afternoon," he grinned. What time is it?" His mother just laughed. "Don't listen to Dane, dear. It's only noon." I couldn't believe I'd slept that long. Not as late as Dane made me think it was, but later than I usually slept. Most nights, I can't even stay asleep all night. "If you'll excuse me, I'm going to get dressed really fast." They both nodded in my direction, and I quickly hurried to the bedroom. I didn't bring many clothes, so it was a tights and a t-shirt today. I threw my hair into a messy bun, washed my face, and brushed my teeth before packing my belongings into my bag. Dane was setting the table as I walked back in, dropping my bag near the front door. He glanced at my bag at my feet, then back up at me with a pained look on his face. "Is there anything I can help with?" I asked, standing next to him. He just shook his head. "No, it's all done." His mother came walking to the table with a massive platter of food. It smelled delicious. Dane pulled a chair out for his mother, helping her get seated before coming around the table and doing the same for me. This man had more respect than anyone I knew combined. We all began eating in silence. "So, dear Dane wouldn't tell me anything about you, but he did ask that I help explain some things to you." I looked at Dane in surprise. He had kept his promise not to tell anyone. He winked at me with a smile on his face. "How much do you know about werewolves?" his mother continued, not paying any attention to her son. "Well, ma'am, I just recently found out that werewolves are real, and I'm pregnant by one. And I keep hearing the word mate a lot, it seems." I was honest with her, but I didn't open up to her as I had with Dane. "Please call me Adria, dear. Where have you heard the word mate from?" she asked me. I laughed, nervously. The first time I heard it was from my ex. Evidently, I'm not his mate, so I can't have his baby. And then Dane has told me a few times that I am his mate and I have nothing to worry about. His mother smiled at her son with understanding on her face. "Well, dear, a mate is our other half. It is someone who the moon goddess has made just for us. It's kind of like humans say they found their soulmate, except a mate truly is. Mates will make each other feel whole, and they will make them stronger. A werewolf knows a person is their mate instantly. Humans who have mated with werewolves will have signs, but they won't know right away. And that's understandable. They usually have never heard of mates before." She explained it to me. "So you knew I was your mate when you saw me in the diner?" I asked, looking at Dane. He just nodded his head. But I didn't know you were human. You have the scent of a werewolf, though it is faint. I looked down at my plate, trying to process what I had just learned. I have so many questions right now. So, what are some of the signs humans have? I asked curiously. Oh, there are many, but the most obvious ones are the tingles or shocks when your mate touches you, and they have a way of calming you with just their presence. My eyes widened at her response. Do you have either of these with Alpha Dane? I looked at Dane, who seemed a little nervous about my response. Yes, actually, I do, I answered her, never taking my eyes off Dane. A huge smile spread across his face as his eyes bore into me.